Merry meet and welcome. My name is Leandra Witchwood, and welcome to episode 4 of Kitchen Witch Table Talks. In this episode, I have a really great blueberry tart for you, and here's an example of it. My family's been enjoying this one a little too much, so there's not much left of it. But blueberries are one of the most special fruits that you can use in your magical practice for the purpose of bringing in joy and lightening the mood a little bit in your home or in your life. Blueberries are also very good for protecting against and removing curses. So if that's the kind of energy you need to move out of your life, then that tart is going to be there for you. And the link to the recipe will be down below, as well as other links discussed in this discussion. So today's concept is one that I find many teachers, students, the pagan community in general tend to kind of gloss over and forget about when we discuss concept of magic and advancing ourselves in our practice. And this idea, this nugget for you to kind of chew on and roll around with for a while, is the law of equivalent exchange. Now, don't go all Full Metal Alchemist on me, you anime fans. I know what you're talking about there. I know where your mind went. I love the anime. It's a great series. But, they took this law, this natural law, this very ancient law, and kind of interpreted it on their own. So let's kind of disconnect ourselves from that, from Hollywood again, trying to interpret and relay magical concepts, and go into what the law of equivalent exchange really is. In the most basic form, the best way I can summarize this law is this: you cannot and will not receive anything of value without first giving something of value. And it has to be equal value. It cannot be something that you determined is valuable enough, because you don't get to determine that. The divine does, the universe does, our ancestors do. You get my drift here? The value that you are supposed to give is determined by those who guide us. So, let me give you some specifics about how you can look at and maybe digest and understand the law of equivalent exchange a little better. Now, I'm flying off my cuff here and shooting from my hip, so bear with me if I take a moment to collect my thoughts. The way I teach the law of equivalent exchange to my students is this. You're a farmer, okay? And your existence, your ability to thrive is based on your ability to grow crops, okay? So, but first, before you can harvest those crops, before you can benefit from those crops, you must first plant them. You must tend those seeds. You must tend those seedlings. You must weed the gardens. You must make sure that the plants that need to be tied up are tied up so they don't break. You must make sure that bugs and pests don't eat your plants. You must make sure that those seeds, seedlings, and plants are well taken care of, sometimes for several months, before you receive any benefit from that. And this is a most natural concept. It's one of the first and only natural laws you really need to know in magic, because it clearly demonstrates the law of equivalent exchange. And ironically, quantum physics recognizes the law of equivalent exchange when they are looking to manipulate energy. And I go way back stating that yesterday's magic is today's science. And the more science reveals about what our ancestors once knew, the more I recognize that yesterday's magic is today's science. We're going into string theory, and that's, whole other concepts we don't need to discuss right now. But back to the law of equivalent exchange. Clearly demonstrates, as we, discussed in the farmer situation, that if you do not take care of that which you value, you will receive no benefit from it. So say this farmer decides, this week I want to sit and I just want to drink beer and watch TV because I'm just too tired to deal with it right now. Okay? So a week goes by, he goes out to his fields, and the natural world has done what it can for those plants, but the natural world does not discriminate as far as what it will keep alive and what it will allow to flourish in this farmer's garden. So he goes out there and the weeds have just taken over, and all of the crops he planted, all those seedlings that he tended for so many weeks, they're now getting choked out. So because this farmer decided, it's not worth my time right now, he now has to pay the price for it and kind of backtrack a little, because now he has to do extra work. Now he has to do extra work to pull out all those weeds, get his plants healthy again, and really he has to nurse the energy back to health. So this is the most basic description I can give you. The most, I guess, it's my best way of demonstrating to you the importance of the law of equivalent exchange. And I guess this is why I'm doing this video cast right now, because I really want you to understand it. I want you to understand that whatever you put forth, you will receive in equivalence. So if you really feel like, it's just not worth my time, or, oh, that's just too much work, then you're not going to get very far. And this plays into everything we do, from commerce to the economy to teacher-student relationships. If you are not willing to put forth the right amount of energy, you will not get very far. So let's take a look at the law of equivalent exchange as far as it goes for, you're looking to learn something, okay? And I think what spurred me on was someone was being harassed in a group by other pagans because this one pagan decided that this person's services was not worth their time and money. And it very well might not have been, but that was one person's opinion, and they were clearly ignoring the law of equivalent exchange because they were complaining that their path was going nowhere, and this person stepped in and said, well, I can help you, but I expect something in return. And that started the whole explosion of, well, you should do it for free. And I don't understand where this idea that everything should be given for free, especially when it comes to esoteric knowledge, because somebody who has esoteric knowledge, the knowledge you want, it took them a long time to receive that knowledge. It took them a lot of work. They studied their asses off to get it. So why would you come in and expect anything different? The law of equivalent exchange is very clear. You work to get what you want. And if you're not willing to work for it, you're not going to get it. So if you're stuck in your magical path and your spiritual path and you can't figure out why, really start looking inward. Look at why. Why am I stuck? What am I not doing enough of? And in the case of this teacher who offered her services and her help, it became something that was very hurtful because the law of equivalent exchange was not being honored in this conversation. And it's something that we really need to hone in on and remember. And maybe it's a symptom of our society, because it's very common for our society to expect something for nothing, which is not following natural law. So let's look at it a different way. So say you need a table for your home, and you only want to spend $15 on that table, right? So you go to the discount store, you buy a $15 table, bring it home, set it up, put your lamp on it and your remote, and you're good to go, right? Well, 6 months to a year goes by, all of a sudden the table falls apart. Paint's chipping off of it, the screws are coming loose, you can't seem to fix it in any way, shape, or form. Well, here's the law of equivalent exchange demonstrating to you that since you were only willing to put forth this much energy, and yes, money is energy, whether you want to believe that or not. When you exchange money for a service or product or anything, digital or non, you are putting forth your energy saying that this is valuable to me. You're putting forth your energy stating that this is something that you want and need in your life. So if you're only willing to put forth this much energy, you're only going to get this much value. It's very, very clear. So when you start to feel like your magic doesn't work, or your spiritual path is going nowhere, or spells are backfiring on you, start to think, well, where am I not putting forth enough energy? Because there is no such thing as the one magic pill or the one magic spell that will cure deeply rooted habits and mindsets and negativities in our life. It just won't happen. You need to work at it. You need to take time and effort and put forth that energy, all that energy, and really just bring it in. Because it's not going to come to you. You can't chase it down without first offering up the heart and soul that it needs. And maybe this is the concept of equivalent exchange. Maybe this is where our ancestors began practicing sacrifice and offerings. It makes sense, right? That's why we do it. That's why we have an altar and we give offerings. But perhaps an apple or a banana or a piece of our dinner table is not what the universe needs. Sometimes we have to let go of the things that we hold so tightly to, those things that prevent us from really digging deep and growing and becoming full, becoming ascended. So I hope that this concept, this belief and idea and natural law is giving you a little more perspective of maybe your path or what you're willing to put forth as far as energy goes, and why you're not receiving what you think you should receive, what you think you're deserving of. There is so much that we forget when we follow life and follow a magical path, that it's good to revisit basic rules. The rules that transcend just about every tradition out there. So thank you for joining me. I wish you many, many bright blessings. Please stop by my websites, themagickkitchen.com and leandrawitchwood.com. I have a ton of information there for you, from blog posts and how-tos to classes that are very, very good at bringing you forward on your path and helping you understand things like blueberries. So thank you again, and until next time.